Hello and welcome back to the Trick Play Podcast on Fresh Take Network. I'm Simon Chaskovsky here with Caleb Peterson.
Man, I had to go anger bike. I just biked up a hill because I was so mad.
I was up 20 goddamn points. Tyreek Hill sucks. God damn it. I'm so mad.
And I thought I was going to be rich. Feel an entire parking structure with that.
Build an entire baseball stadium. Yankee Stadium is filled with Lambos. Hello and welcome back to the Trick Play Podcast on the Fresh Take Network. I'm Simon Chaskovsky here with Caleb Peterson, and shortly we will be breaking down all the sports-related news, rumors, and drama that you want to hear about. We have a loaded week this week. We've got Frank Reich being fired by the Carolina Panthers. We've got Aaron Rodgers potentially coming back in record timing off of an Achilles injury, which is just ridiculous. In the NHL, there's a lot happening, so we had to be a little selective here because we do not have endless amounts of time. And this might end up being a shorter week, but we're going to end up talking about Kane signing with the Red Wings and the fact that he plans to be back by next week's. And in the NHL, we've got them bringing back the player draft, which is a little interesting considering the direction it seemed like they've been heading in for the last couple of years. And if we've got time at the end, we'll talk about the in-season tournament. So, Caleb, are you ready to go?
I'm in so much pain. I'm ready to go. I can't.
The Seahawks just
ready.
Got obliterated by the Cowboys on.
They didn't get obliterated. They didn't get obliterated. So I'm gonna. They didn't get obliterated. I'm gonna talk about it in the next. The Cowboys. The Cowboys. You, Skip Bayless. You, Clete Blakeman. I hate this.
What's the rule on YouTube? Don't swear within the first minute. We're at a minute 50. Is that a record for the Trick Play Podcast? The quickest. The quickest F-bomb on the Trick Play Podcast. Every week we get a little earlier.
This is what happens when you record a podcast immediately following a Seahawks game.
Fair enough. You know what?
The
Flames
when the
won
last
an OT, which they did none of last year. You should see their overtime and shootout record. It was abysmal. And they won in overtime off of a beautiful goal by Huberdeau and Kadri. It was awesome. They beat a very good Stars team after beating a very good Golden Knights team. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. I'm having a terrific evening. Caleb wants to go jump off a cliff.
Shoot myself. I'm gonna shoot myself. You know when the last time we did a podcast immediately following a Seahawks game was? Seahawks Rams week 1, baby.
Was it?
And that was a good segment.
That was a good segment. I remember that segment.
No, I'm gonna...
Okay, we'll get into that then.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk about the Seahawks. Let's get it out of the way. Caleb, I'll let you take it immediately.
Okay. So this, I don't even know how to feel after this game, because this, up until the end of the game, was the best game that they've played all year. And I'm looking at this team, and the past 3 weeks has just been some of the worst weeks of Seahawks football I've watched. Since the very end of the Russell Wilson era, when they went 7-10, it was blown out by the Ravens 37-3, and then lose to the 3-7 Rams. Just a terrible stretch. This offense was completely dead. I think the stat going into this game was what they hadn't scored in about 20 offensive drives, which scored a touchdown in 20 offensive drives, which is just abysmal. And then they finally get into this game, and they finally have momentum off the very first play. I believe it was the third play. You get an 80-yard DK Metcalf touchdown off of a slant. And we just had all this great momentum. We go into the half with the lead. And then you just come out in the second half, and I don't know. I feel like every single week with this team, it's a new problem pops up as soon as we fix all the old stuff. You've got the offense finally picks up after being so for the entire season, and then the defense allows 41 points. The Dallas offense is good, but it's not that good. I don't know. I don't have as much anger in me as I did for the Rams game, because that was just a travesty had played out on a football field. This was just like depressing. Like I know just after this podcast, I'm gonna break down in tears and wipe my tears on my 12 flag. This is sad because the outlook for the Seahawks is not good. Simon, do you know what the Seahawks' next 2 games are?
I believe next one is 49ers. I don't know the one after that.
Oh boy, the only team in the NFC that could be possibly more difficult than the Niners.
The Eagles?
Just got flexed into Monday Night Football.
Wow, terrific. I did see that. But I was gonna say my one add-on as the person in this podcast who did not watch the game was looking at the stat sheet. I'm assuming that there's a reason behind this because I think it's absolutely hilarious. DJ Dallas is considered a passer with 0 completions for 0 attempts. Was that because was that a trick play that he just didn't throw the ball on or something?
Yeah. So what happened was it was a smart play by him. So it was a trick play. You get DJ Dallas lined up behind Geno. He throws it back to DJ Dallas, and you can see him cock it back like he's going to throw, and then he just has nothing, so he just runs it. I don't know why they called that a passing attempt, because he didn't even throw the ball.
But that's what I mean. It's not a passing attempt. He's just under, like, the passers. Like, I can...
Yeah,
here, I'll send it to myself so that I can put it on the screen during the podcast to show, like...
He didn't even attempt a pass. He just kind of... It was... I mean, if you're counting it on the stat sheet, it was just a really weird run play. But it was supposed to be a pass, but nobody was open, so he did the smart thing and tucked it. Which was one of the only questionable calls of the entire game at the end. So the thing that the Seahawks at the end of this game was just the inability to convert on 4th down. They have Jake Bobo take a green pass. He could have. I think this could have won them the game. At this point, I believe they're still up 35-30 late in the game, and because they led the entire second half. That is what is so awful about this game, is that after the Cowboys had never trailed at home the entire season, we fucking owned this game the entire time. The Cowboys did not lead in the second half until the final 2 minutes. And then because Seattle, they get a 4th and 1, they can't convert. Terrible play call. Why are you running it up the middle with Charbonnet? Not a good play call. With Dallas's defensive line, you're not getting that shit. 4th and 4. Another, like, that's a blitz by Dallas. Geno doesn't have any time to get it off to JSN. JSN doesn't even see the ball and almost gets picked off. Incomplete turnover. And then on the end of the game, this is what is most infuriating about this. You have... So Simon, let me ask you this question. You didn't watch the game, but let me just ask you this. So the Seahawks defense makes a great stop. They hold Dallas to a field goal to make it 41-35. So a very doable comeback with like a minute 45 left. The Seahawks have the ball at midfield. It's 4th and 2. If you are the Seahawks offensive line, who would you say the most important player to block is on Dallas's entire team?
Golly gosh, I wonder. I think that you have to put an extra guy on the potential of Dak Prescott, WWE style, running down the ramp, music hits, running out off the sideline, and tackling Geno Smith. I would say that is what.
Other than that possibility,
put the left tackle staring at Dak Prescott, who's probably chugging Gatorade on the sideline. You know, pretending like he's not going to run on the field, pretending. Put the left tackle on him and leave Micah Parsons completely open, obviously.
Yeah. So Micah Parsons was left completely open. Do you want to know how many blockers they had on Micah Parsons on that play?
Probably a lot less than Dak Prescott.
Zero. You have DJ Dallas as the blocker on Micah Parsons, and of course he doesn't even get over in time to make any contact. The are you doing, Seattle? You've called Shane Waldron. You have called a good game so far. Why is your play calling on 4th down so shit? You are over 3 on 4th down. You're a terrible play caller. Like, they had a quote in this game that Al Michaels pulled up. Well, senile old Al Michaels, who's just taking drugs in the back with Kirk Herbstreit at this point. I don't even know what he's doing. But he pulls out a quote from Shane Waldron, who's saying, oh, wow. Like,
Editor Simons. Editor Simons having
Editor Simons.
That's assuming I even take the time here. I am sorry for all the children ears potentially listening to this when Simon gives up after the 4-minute mark.
The children need to hear this. Al Michaels pulls this quote from Shane Waldron midway through the broadcast. Ugh. Shane Waldron's talking about, oh yeah, there's going to be heat on you if you don't score any points. Well, no shit, Shane. No shit. You're not scoring any points. You're not getting anything done on fourth down. You have a good offense with good players on it. You have the best receiver core in the league. You have an above-average quarterback, and you have an amazing young running back duo. How are you not scoring any points? The garbage calls on fourth down. I could about this forever, but I have two more things to touch on before I shut my mouth. Number one, the refs. The refs in this game were brutal. Like, the entire game, ticky-tack calls on Seattle defenders, defensive holding, illegal contact, all of the barely contacted them at all, and it's just five-yard illegal contact, 35-yard pass interference. Absolutely insane. And they were so ticky-tack. There's one on Bobby Wagner where he makes contact with the guy as soon as the ball gets there, pass interference, move the chains. On third, I believe it was third down. Like, you cannot, you're going to get a couple bad calls per game. The amount of calls that went against the Seahawks that were just, like, factually incorrect. Like, I don't think I'm being a homer with this. There's people, like, go on Twitter and look at, like, any sort of football talking head that is, like, not a Seahawks person. They're calling this out because it is atrocious. Clete Blakeman and his crew should not be refereeing another NFL game this season. That is how terrible this was. They gave us it was so bad. I think the refs gave us a makeup call on the final drive of the Cowboys because the one play we actually do, like, it should have been pass interference. It's not good call. But whatever. That refereeing was terrible.
Yeah, I was going to add on to that. Obviously, once again, didn't watch it, looking at a box score. The penalties were actually very even. Like, in yards and amount called. Like, the Seahawks did get one more penalty called on them, but it was only 10-9. The penalty yards were 130 for the Seahawks, 127 for the Cowboys.
And those is that Dallas's penalties, Dallas just played, like, again, you can say that I'm a homer. But watching the game, there was a difference between what Dallas was doing and what Seattle was doing. Dallas was playing undisciplined. There were a couple calls that went Seattle's way that shouldn't have. I'm going to talk like that pass interference at the end. It should have been pass interference on Trey Brown, CeeDee Lamb in the end zone. Should have been pass interference. I think that was a makeup call. But the rest of them, like, yes, the penalty yards were pretty even, but it's because Dallas was they jumped off sides so much at the end of the second half. They had this pass interference on Tyler Lockett that was the most blatant pass interference I've ever seen in my entire life, where he tackled Lockett to the ground before the ball got there, and like 5 seconds before the ball got there. So, like, yeah, the penalties are pretty even, but this is the fact that they are even based on how undisciplined Dallas played that entire game. I think it's just speaks to how atrocious the refereeing was in this game. The final thing that I'm going to talk about, I'm not even like a Cowboys hater. I'm not a Cowboys hater. I like the Cowboys more than most people. I like Dak Prescott. I think he gets too much hate. I think their fans are obnoxious, but I don't mind them. After this game, I don't know. I was looking on Twitter before this podcast started because, of course, that's what I'm gonna do when I'm sitting here and depressed about a Seahawks loss. I'm just gonna doom scroll until my brain falls out of my eyes. Yep. These f***ing Cowboys fans. Oh my God! How about them Cowboys? You f***ing losers! The Seahawks were 9-point underdogs, and you should have lost. You should have lost. I don't understand what you're getting on about. I can't wait for you guys to sneak into the playoffs as a wild card and get burned by the Niners in the first round. You are such frauds. I swear to God. This Seahawks offense has looked terrible all year, and you let them light your asses up. So for any Cowboys fan who is celebrating this win like it means something to you, go shut the fuck up. Because it doesn't mean shit. You beat a bad Seahawks team. This is a bad Seahawks team this year. Go celebrate your asses off at 9-3 or whatever, and then go get ready to cry at another second-round playoff exit. I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this shit. If this game told me anything, it told me that the Cowboys are just, like, I don't know. Their offense is good, but I can't wait to see this team get eliminated in the playoffs again. Yeah, and the Seahawks aren't making the playoffs. That's my other takeaway. Their schedule is and they're completely done. So this is going to be the last time you hear about me talk about the Seahawks. I hope it was fun, guys.
Oh, lovely. And let's end off the podcast by Simon. If you decided to attempt to bleep out all of those, swear counter. Let's get it up there. How many? Count them. Count them. Let's get a swear counter up there.
What are we gonna set the over/under at? Because I don't know what this currently is. Over under 100.
I think this might be easier for me since I sat here listening to it. I think my over/under would probably be. I'm gonna go. I think the over/under, like the middle. I'd probably say.
Yeah, the line.
You said a lot as well. I say a lot. I'm gonna guess probably 20.
I'm going over.
I would too, but I'd say the line would be probably 20.
Okay, my guess is gonna be like 53.
Holy crap! I don't know about that. My guess would have been probably 26, 27. 26.
If I didn't say 53 swear words, then this isn't. I didn't do enough. I need to try this again.
Yeah. You know what?
This was abysmal. This was abysmal. If it didn't get 53 swear words, it deserves it because the 2023 Seahawks season is over. It's over before it gets to November, and that is the most depressing thing that has ever happened this month at least. I don't know. I don't know if it's the overly pessimistic Seahawks fan in me talking, but I don't see a world in which we win a game against the Niners or the Eagles that puts us in 6-8. And then even if we win out the rest of the way, 9-8, and then we don't have the tiebreaker against the Rams, I don't know. I'm looking at that schedule and I'm thinking.
You know what? Well, we can end this off with getting your reaction on. I think this is right now. I think. Let's see, 54 seconds ago.
Okay.
So Dak Prescott at the press conference came out. This is breaking news. Breaking news. He was asked on what the value of prevailing in a close game against an opponent with a winning record was, with how you're talking crap on the Seahawks. That might that'll I'll say the quote. This is Dak Prescott once again speaking and not Simon Chiskovsky from his basement. Guys kept saying on the sideline, expect to win. And when you do that, you have those expectations. You're going to find a way to win. Simple as that. I thought he said more than that as well. Crap, 1 second. Maybe I had the wrong quote. I got hyped up. What was the other quote? God damn it. Never mind. I wasted everyone's time. Sorry. I thought I read some. 1 second. Where was it?
That's the other thing about the Cowboys is that they haven't won. Before this game, they hadn't won a game against a team with a winning record. Which, I don't know. Like, the Cowboys they're a good team. They're a playoff team. But just to get all excited about this game that you squeaked by in a game where you were favored by almost 10 full points on the money line, that's insane. Or I see tweets about, oh, this Cowboys season looks special. That's what you fuckers say every year. Just give up. Just give up.
Yeah,
and I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
This wasn't the quote I was talking about. I thought it was something Dak said. This is still an interesting. We've already talked for a little long on this one, but the Mike McCarthy came out and called Dak Prescott a championship caliber quarterback as well. That was another thing that
I think that's not. I can agree with that. Dak played great this game. Dak played great. The Cowboys' offense was great. But I just don't think you can, as a full unit, especially this defense. This Cowboys defense is going to have questions to answer, especially that secondary, because the Seahawks were picking them apart. I don't know. The Cowboys' schedule is rough too. I'm as an unaffiliated observer who is not currently mad at the Cowboys that they just beat my favorite team. I think the next stretch of games will say a lot about what this Cowboys team actually is. Because I don't think you can say that, oh, they're for real after beating us. That you can't say that. That's just getting way too far ahead of yourselves.
Yeah,
And
that,
buying
that is
the
the
hype.
quote that I thought I had found. I thought Dak had said something related to the idea that it felt really good to beat a really great team from behind, and then this would give them like a lot of confidence or something. I thought I had read a quote like that.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it gives them confidence. Like I don't know. It's just the people that I see that are like, "Oh, this is the win that proves that the Cowboys are for real." You can fuck off with that. You can go take that and shove it up your ass because that's not what this is. This is a win that you squeaked by against the team you were supposed to dominate. So don't go hyping yourselves up about this game. Be grateful that you won, and then just take it and run with it and try to not get thrashed in these next 5 games.
Yeah.
In more slightly less personally maddening NFL news, 1-10 start, which very disappointing. I mean, there weren't high expectations to begin with, unless you're an idiot who predicted them to go 12-5 and make the playoffs this season. Like, I don't know who would do that. But even taking that out of the considerations, 1-10, not great. Bryce Young has not looked like the quarterback he was projected to be coming out of the draft, and apparently 11 games in, canned according to. Been taking a lot of heat for this decision. I understand the impulse to fire your coach after winning 1 game out of 11 because that's rough, and the season has not gone the way that they've liked. But 11 games in is just it feels like you're not giving him a chance. And I'll prompt you up with this, Simon, in terms of what you think of this. Urban Meyer, who was the worst coaching hire in the 21st century, lasted longer in Jacksonville than Frank Reich did in Carolina. Knowing that, do you think this is justified?
Well, like you said, their record is 1-10, correct? Right? When did they win that game? Like, what's their streak right now? Because
they beat the Texans, and that was maybe like 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Okay, like, I don't know. I think that might just speak to the fact that Jacksonville probably should have fired Urban Meyer sooner than they did. But I do think it was kind of deserved. Or if it wasn't deserved, I think it was the right move. Just with the idea that I don't know how much you necessarily want. This season has been a shit show for Carolina. I don't know how much you want to try and turn things around. Whatever you've been doing isn't working. And when you have a young quarterback in a system that just isn't working for that quarterback, that's obviously just a bad situation. I think if I was the Panthers, I would be wanting to try and fix that so that you don't break your franchise quarterback before it's too late, right? Because you want to get him set, right? And obviously what they're doing right now just isn't working. You can also make the argument that maybe firing a coach mid-season just isn't great for a young quarterback's depth. Yeah, definitely not going to help. So I think there's 2 sides to it, right? But I mean, 1-10 is terrible. That is a terrible start to the year. So I don't know.
1-10 is a terrible record, and I get what you're saying in terms of like just looking at the record, you can't question it too much. But I'm looking at the bigger picture. 11 games is not enough to prove anything in the NFL. I don't think you can, it's not enough time to build a team. If you're giving a regime only 11 games to get something right, then you're not giving them any chance. And in terms of the Panthers, I don't think their issue is the coaching. because Frank Reich has proven to be a good coach in this league, and I mean it hasn't been successful. It wasn't successful in Carolina, and Bryce Young has struggled. But I don't think that's necessarily entirely Frank Reich's fault. The personnel that Carolina has is just totally lacking. They've got their receiving talent hasn't really panned out the way that it's supposed to. You've got an aging Adam Thielen, who's their number one target by quite a long shot. Their offensive line hasn't been looking great. Like Bryce Young's not getting any help. It's looked pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think you can do that. And to your point that you brought up, if I think the most important thing for this Panthers team is the development of Bryce Young. And to fire your coach mid-season, not only your coach, but your QB coach mid-season, I think does way more harm than good. Because you're going to have to learn I mean, I don't know how much they're going to change, but you're likely going to have to learn a lot of new systems, like a lot of new everything if you're bringing in a completely new guy to helm the ship.
Just to add to a lot of the... I want to jump in here just because I'm kind of looking at some stuff that I think adds a lot to this entire conversation. Because I think, obviously, with the whole Frank Reich firing, the main aim has been on how bad the offense has been. The defense has been terrible too, looking at like how many points they've allowed on most of their losses. Like back-to-back 40-point losses to Miami and Detroit earlier this year. They've lost more than a couple over 30. Like it's been rough. It's been rough to say the least. But the last time they only have 2 wins. Or not 2 wins, sorry. They only have 2 games where they've gotten over 20 points. Which was both games where they lost by 40. So you can probably make an argument that a lot of that is just based on garbage time.
Oh, and the Seahawks, because we like to play teams close that don't deserve it. But
really? Wait, whoa.
Am
I missing one?
37-27 week 3. That was Andy Dalton, though.
That is not on the game log over here. That's real interesting. That's fun. Okay, well then 3.
I remember that one.
Well then 3, because for some reason the Seahawks aren't popping up on the game log. But
that's okay. They kind of deserve to be erased from the NFL.
Oh, never mind. I know why. I'm looking at Bryce Young's stats for the game log, so that would be why.
Yeah, because it was an Andy Dalton game.
Well, there you go. So that's my bad.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the games, all the games that Bryce Young has started in, I maybe should throw an emphasis on that.
Yeah,
that is rough, especially.
Which is important.
And you also mentioned their last win, which was in Houston, where they only scored 15 as well. They also have the highest they have scored since that game is 13 in a game. And Bryce Young has only thrown 2 touchdowns in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
With his pick ratio being his ratio is 2 to 4.
Yeah, nobody's gonna look at you and say that the Panthers have been great. But I think having this little patience for a team just like immediately makes your chances worse. So I think if you're looking at a coach firing, you're going to say, am I going to be better without this guy than I'm going to be with him in the next few years? And I don't see a possibility where the Panthers are better without Frank Reich, because they're going to be garbage anyways, because it was never really a coaching issue. They have terrible personnel, like I talked about before. And the other thing you have to think about is David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, he also owns an MLS franchise. He's fired 4 coaches in the last couple of years, which is just an insane rate. Because that's two. He's firing a coach every year for each of his teams. Can you tell me that there is any coach out there, like any good coaching candidate, who wants to go to the Panthers? If I'm a coaching candidate that I'm getting like a bunch of interest from a lot of teams, Carolina is at the bottom of my list. They got a good, quality, proven coach in Frank Reich, and they sent him out the door because they think they're going to get somebody better when the hiring carousel comes around. But I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of head coach openings because there's a lot of people who are on the hot seat in the NFL. I think there could be as many as getting close to 10 job openings with how many coaches are going to get fired. It's going to be a bloodbath. And do you think any of these potential, whether it's hot offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, any of these hot coaching prospects, are they going to go looking for Carolina? They're going to be looking at anybody anywhere else because they know if they don't start producing immediately, which is an unfair expectation to begin with, they're going to be canned. Like it's not a fair system to build upon. If you're not given the roster, if you're not giving the time to build that roster and form the culture, I don't see any point in going to Carolina. If I was a head coaching candidate, I'd be avoiding it like the plague unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah, and I think I actually do agree with you on that point. I think especially it's kind of different in other sports to a point where, like in hockey, for example, in the NHL, there's not as big of a system change, right? That's very, very different. In the NFL, when you switch coaches, you are automatically ensuring that it's going to be a week, like weeks, before your team gets used to it. You have to learn a whole new playbook. You have to learn a whole new bunch of schemes. You need to learn all of these new things, and that's not something you can do in a week. Hell, not even a bye week, right? So that's always the big controversy whenever, or the big topic whenever a coach gets fired. For example, even with Matt Canada's firing, people were talking about the fact that the Steelers would be going into the next week with not a lot of time to figure out what their game plan was offensively, right? With a new person calling the plays.
Yeah.
But I think it is pretty wild. I kind of do agree with you on that point, that how little it takes now, I guess. Because it has gotten a lot easier for coaches to get fired in the NFL, that's for sure. Not only just in Carolina, but across the league.
Well, I do think it is kind of a Carolina thing because I mean, you have seen coaches be fired relatively earlier, but I do think it's a special Carolina thing.
No,
because,
it's definitely, there is a special case here, but I do think just in general, I think the people are starting to get a lot less patient. They want to win now.
I don't know because I would look at other situations across the league and I would see significantly worse coaching jobs that have been done for guys that have had their job for multiple years, where you have seen lots of patience. You've seen I think Arthur Smith is one of the worst coaches in the NFL who has a treasure trove of weapons of hit around him in Atlanta, and he's been in that job for I think 3 years now. They've had patience with him. You've got Brandon Staley, who has one of the best young quarterbacks in the league and amazing talent all over the roster. And he's currently, I think, they're sitting at 4 wins. Like, they've had patience with him.
Although, I will say with the Staley thing, I feel like he's probably the next domino out of all these coaches from what I've been hearing.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if Arthur Smith goes too, but there's been heat on these guys for years, and I've never even been the biggest Brandon Staley hater, but like there's been calls for his job for a while now, and people have been patient with him because people understand that it's people in management, people in ownership especially, understand that it takes time to build a culture. But the issue with Pepper is that he hasn't owned this franchise for more than 5 years. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. And he's taken heat for that, and he is banning reporters from his press conferences that he doesn't like. It's just a complete mess in Carolina. It's just a complete mess. They're going to be very bad for the considerable future. Not just because Bryce Young hasn't panned out, but just because the franchise itself is rotten at the core, and that starts with the owner.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that maybe they need to let somebody figure it out first. I don't disagree with you, but I also don't know if you're not giving, again, if you aren't giving Bryce Young the best possible situation to succeed, then you're doing everything wrong. And I think that maybe that's just all it came down to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't know. It's a big gamble to take. It's a big gamble to take because if you can't get a guy that is better than Frank Reich, which is a high bar, then this is one of the biggest blunders you've had because because I think you're right. The most important thing is the development of Bryce Young. You're totally on point there. So if that's why you fired Frank Reich, okay, find somebody better.
Yeah.
And that's a high bar.
So in some of the bigger NFL news that has come out in the last week-ish is that Aaron Rodgers has returned to practice. And we've seen stuff in the background for the last couple of weeks of him maybe just tossing the football on the sideline with somebody walking around, all that stuff that you wouldn't normally see from somebody who tore his Achilles just, I believe, what would it even be now, like 10 weeks, 11 weeks ago? Like, it's not something you would normally see, especially this quick. And all of a sudden, he's back to practice. He's potentially going to be playing in as soon as 3 weeks, is what I think is being said right now, which is ridiculous. Like, considering examples we have seen across other sports and in this one, it's crazy how fast Rodgers has come back. And I mean, this could be huge for the Jets. I don't have their record in front of me currently, but
not good.
Obviously not good. But I wonder what the impact of Aaron Rodgers coming back could have on this team, even if he's playing with one leg.
Aaron Rodgers is one of the stupidest people I know on this planet. So and I'm not just saying that. So if this is a big if this Achilles recovery that he's made is like totally up to par and is like he's gotten activated off IR, so I guess it is like approved by the doctors and everything. Like he's actually good to go. Props to him. That is impressive as all hell. That is so impressive. As the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater that I know, props to him. Like genuinely impressive. That's amazing that he's come back from that. But as Aaron Rodgers, you just got your Achilles blown at 5 snaps into your Jets debut. You obviously want to have at least one shot with a fully healthy Jets team to try and make the playoffs and make some noise, because with how good this defense has been, that's a real possibility when you get a very talented quarterback like Rodgers back there. But the Jets are terrible. They've been terrible this whole division. They're 4-7 in a very good division, and this AFC wildcard race is stacked.
Well, like, even look at it like this, right? Let's look at it like this. Let's say best possible scenario. If we want to quickly take a look at what the Jets' next couple games. Next 3 weeks, right? Without A-Rod. Next 3 weeks without A-Rod, right? You have the Texans, the Dolphins, and the Commanders. Let's be nice here, okay?
A-Rod would be back for. Yeah.
What did you say? Sorry, I missed that.
The Commanders would be the game that A-Rod is back for.
Okay. Well, let's be nice here. They'll lose to the Dolphins. Do you think they have a chance against the Texans?
Absolutely not. They're going to get crushed.
So that is 2 losses.
The Texans.
That's 2 losses, right? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking because I want to make sure we're on the same page. That would mean the Jets' record is 4-9. Let's say A-Rod does come back, and A-Rod comes back. He's got the Achilles of a god. He can now throw the football 1,000 yards and is the Jesus Christ of football. And they finish the record. They finished with a record of 8-9 and missed the playoffs.
and consider this, because I think the other game that they had even before those 2 games is a game against the Falcons this upcoming Sunday. Like I don't give them any more of a chance against the Falcons than I do against. Yeah.
No, I just missed that.
So it's even worse than you just outlined. It's 4-10.
It's 4-10. There you go.
So what's Aaron Rodgers coming back to? This is a team that is currently second last in the conference, and you have so many teams that are vying for Steelers 7-4,
emphasize
Colts
6-5. Congrats, A-Rod. Congrats, A-Rod. Honestly, congrats. You came back from what is a career-ending injury in not only this sport, but a lot of other ones. A prime-ending injury. This is an injury that is killer. Let's say he goes out there and he's not 100% and his leg snaps again. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
He's done.
No, he's actually done.
He's not coming back.
You are not going to be able to walk. Like, that is...
Exactly.
Like, that is the risk A-Rod is taking right now. And he's taking that risk on a 4-7 team. Like, I think you have to just wait for next year at this point. Like, sure, I understand earlier in the year when there was, like, the thought of this Jets team is good. They have a good core. They're... Like, the idea of them going to the playoffs wasn't solely on the fact that their quarterback was Aaron Rodgers. It was around the fact that, sure, their quarterback was A-Rod. But they also had a great young core with a lot of great veterans as well. They had a terrific D-line with a great defense. All of these things were making all of us say that the Jets were going to be good, right? So when A-Rod went down, all of us were like, maybe. Maybe Zach Wilson, under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers, can pull something out of his ass and have them set up for when Aaron Rodgers is ready to go, right? He has not done that.
Yep.
They are 4-7. That went out the window weeks ago.
And Zach Wilson is banished to like Siberia now. He's not even the backup anymore. He's the third string quarterback behind Trevor Siemian.
Why would you risk a guy? And they signed A-Rod to a multiple-year deal. Like this is not his last season. All things, that's an assumption, but this isn't his last year, right? Why would you come back? You have nothing to prove. I actually think he's coming back out of stubbornness. As somebody who's stubborn, I am stubborn as hell. I can tell you that for free. I can understand the thing that I can imagine what's going through his brain. All these people doubting me, all these people thinking I can't do it. Fuck you. I'm gonna come back, even if it's stupid, just to prove I could. Right? But it's just why? It's just dumb. You're really risking.
It doesn't make any sense.
You are risking. You're not going to do anything this year. You're risking next year at this point. It's just why?
Yeah. Yeah. To put it in perspective, to just really drill into how stupid it would be to try and do anything with this Jets team, because like you said, they're probably going to be 4-10. But even with that,
he would be coming back for 2 games.
Yeah, it would be the last 3 games of the season. He's not doing anything. Yeah, Commanders, Browns, Patriots.
Sorry.
It's not worth it. The other thing is that we're talking potentially about the Bills not making the playoffs. The Bills' playoff chances are rough. If the Bills' playoff chances are rough right now, they are 1, 2, 3 spots back. They are 6-6, and there is currently 2 teams. The Colts have that last wild card spot, and then the Texans and Broncos are also ahead of them before you get to the Bills. If a team like the Bills is the 6th, no, they're not the 6th seed. What is that? 8, 9. The Bills are the 10th seed in the AFC right now. If a team like the Bills are the 10th seed in the AFC, you don't have any chance in that competition. And I think you've outlined it perfectly. There's no point in risking your next season, because I think the Jets, as soon as you hit, as soon as you started losing, they had a 4-game stretch. They lost. They were in primetime a bunch, and they lost I think it was Chargers, Raiders, Dolphins, and I think Bills as well. 3 out of those 4 games were in a primetime slot. As soon as you crap the bed in that schedule, you have to pack it in and say, see you next season. What I honestly think, so the thing to know about the news this week is that what they did is they opened the practice window. So that means he has 3 weeks to come back. And if he isn't ready to play by the end of those 3 weeks, so that's the Commanders game. If he's not playing in that Commanders game, they shelve him for the rest of the season, and they still have that option. And I would not be surprised if they just put him on IR for the rest of the season after this practice window is open, because anything else is just completely absurd and stupid. I don't imagine even if A-Rod
sales at that point.
Yeah. Even if A-Rod is so stubborn, like you said, that he is gonna still try to do it, I don't think the Jets GM will let him.
No, you'd have.
There's
to
no way that happens.
You'd have to.
They're gonna have to hold him back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There has to be someone in that room who can go, buddy. You don't need to. Nobody here is there's nothing.
Get Pat McAfee to talk some sense into him. He's on his little show every couple hours or whatever. With it seems like so. Yeah. Get Pat McAfee to talk some sense into you. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's impressive, the return, but it's a little bit ill-advised and stupid return. Considering. Yeah. And it's too bad, because if the Jets had pulled out some wins, because people forget they were riding pretty high. They're the only team to beat the Eagles, the best team in the NFL, got beat by the Jets. So like they had potential, and then these last 4 games: Chargers on Sunday night, Raiders on Sunday night, Black Friday game against the Dolphins. Like just losing all of those games in big spot, you're out of it. So it may have had a point before this last 4 weeks, but next it's just completely.
No, it's
race this tight where I think there are. Joe Burrow's injury makes this a little bit tougher, but I think before Joe Burrow's injury, I would be thinking there were potentially like 4 or 5 teams that would miss the playoffs that I would think like deserve to be in. So you know what they say about me? They call me Vegas Caleb. Anything that I say, place a bet on it right now, because I have infinite foresight. Last week's podcast, we did a segment on Patrick Kane, where he was going, and I said he was going to the Red Wings. And look what happened this week. Kane has signed with the Red Wings. He is reuniting with his old Chicago teammate, Alex DeBrincat. And you were saying before the podcast, Simon, he's playing on a line with not only DeBrincat, but also Dylan Larkin. There is some risks in this signing in terms of we don't know what his return from, I believe it was hip surgery, is going to be like. We don't know if he's obviously not the same player he was in his prime. We don't know how like close to that he's going to be. So there's some kind of uncertainty here, but I think it's a pretty low risk, high reward. And just looking at the names in that line, it looks pretty enticing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good move by Detroit. You say high risk, or no, other way around.
Low risk, high reward.
Right. Like, I think there's no risk to this. You're signing him on a $2 million contract. You weren't going to use that on anyone else. This is a situation where you are just bringing in a guy who is either going to be the Patrick Kane of old, which is what he's been saying. He came out and said that he feels the best he's felt in 3 years. He thinks he's a better player than he's been the last 3 years. If he's right, you're getting that Patrick Kane, that Chicago Blackhawks Patrick Kane. Sure, not prime Patrick Kane, not by a mile, but you're getting a player who is still a very strong hockey player. Or you get a out of prime Patrick Kane who's just not got it anymore, who you can slide in on your third or fourth line and it won't matter. Whatever. It's not going to change. It's not going to change anything. I don't think there's a risk here at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. When I say at the start there's a risk, it's more of a risk of like not for the team, for the player. You don't know
Sure.
if he's going to be.
Yeah.
It's less
He is
of a risk
risking
and
his
more
legacy,
just
I guess, if you want to look at it like that.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say more like risk is maybe not the right word to use. It's more just uncertainty.
Sure.
Because after a surgery like this, you really don't know which way it's going to go. But yeah, for the Red Wings, I think you are pretty like dead on when you say there is no risk, because especially when the potential reward is as high as it is. Again, like I don't know if you're gonna get you're not getting prime Kane, but even just getting a fraction of the player he was, and a veteran that you're inserting.
If you get like a 2020 Patrick Kane, you're winning. Like
yeah, that's a good point.
You
like,
get a last year Patrick Kane, you're winning. Like it's like he still had like a 50-point season, I think.
Yeah, and it's like the perfect veteran presence that Detroit team needs, because it's a young team, right? Like
you also have like the team chemistry or the line chemistry of him and DeBrincat. You're sliding Larkin in there, who other than like Raymond and DeBrincat in recent years has had terrible teammates or line mates his entire career. This is probably the best line that this is again predicting Patrick. I think that Patrick Kane will come back strong, but that's just based on the fact that I think that he has. I'm relying on the fact that I'm trusting my sources, Patrick Kane quotes. So take that as you will. But I just think that if he truly was playing hurt and still put up a 50-point season and he's healthy now, that's enough for me. Like that should show, like he's an incredible player. He's been an incredible player for the last 15 years. If he is like 80% of what that was, Detroit has a hell of a player. And hell, slide him in on the second or third line, he'll still be killer. I think next to a playmaker like DeBrincat and Larkin, hell, like, that's stellar. That's one of the best lines in hockey.
Yep. Yeah, and you wonder where we would have put this if we had our best lines in hockey video. We already had Detroit pretty high when we did that segment, and that might have even gone up since then. I do have a question for you, Simon. Now that it's real, will seeing Patrick Kane in a Red Wings jersey feel any less weird?
Well, there's already been photoshops of it. I think he might have done a practice, unless maybe that was Photoshop. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. But
yeah,
I will say it looks weird as fuck from the photos I've been seeing. Did he do a practice, or is this Photoshop? I'm going to take a wild shot in the dark and say this is Photoshop. But, yeah, because there's a photo that the NHL.com posted of him in a practice uniform. There is a Rangers logo in the background that I'm going to point out, so I think it's Photoshop. Yeah, it actually kind of looks like Photoshop now that I look at it. But, yeah, I think that's Photoshop. So I don't think he's done a practice yet. It looks weird. It looks weird as hell. Like, why? It's going to look weird for a long time. I don't know if it looks as weird as him in a Rangers jersey, because that was whack.
And that's gonna age weird. That's gonna age weirdly too, considering he was only there for like half the season.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like of course it looks weird. He's gonna look weird in any jersey that's not a Blackhawks jersey. But I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's like a superstar kind of goes to a bunch of different teams at the end of their career. I mean, the hockey one that immediately comes to mind to me is like Jerome McGinley, literally anything other than a Flames jersey, like Jerome McGinley in a Penguins jersey or something, or like in football, like Jerry Rice played for the Seahawks for the Cardinals.
If you want the weirdest looking Jerome McGinley jersey, his LA Kings one.
LA Kings is weird too.
Because
for some reason, Penguins is the one that sticks out to me.
He wore 88 with the Kings, which was the weird thing. Like everyone, that's the stop everyone forgets, and I think the only reason I remember him in an 88 jersey was, and speaking of which, I actually think an 88 Kings jersey is a sick jersey, and I kind of want it now. But like looking at photos, and again, like Kings jersey is kind of sick. But and I brought it up when we talked about our fights, like hockey fights segment or whatever. I don't remember exactly why we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite fights ever is him in like it was like one of his last fight. I think it was either his last fight or one of them in like the last, I want to say 15 games of the season in his final season. Him and Derek Engelland fucking like just beat the piss out of each other, and it is an awesome fight. So I'll shout out that again because that's one of my favorite fights ever. Because it's like a 40-year-old Iginla taking on not a prime Engelland, but at that point Engelland was definitely formidable. Like he was a scary dude, and Iggy beat the crap out of him. Or maybe not beat the crap out of him, but you know what I mean. Putting up a really good fight against the guy that he probably shouldn't have fought. So at that point in his career,
people don't remember him as a fighter because that's not what he was best at, obviously. But he was a
killer fighter. Is there a way to look at like? Can I find Jerome McGinley's fight like record?
Oh yeah,
he won a lot more fights than he lost. Can tell you that. Hockey fights. Do they have a record here for him? Fighting record. But they don't have a total. Oh, that's super annoying actually. They don't.
No.
They just count how many fights, but they don't. I want to find this now. Do they have like?
You could probably go through and see.
You're probably right, but
He fought 72 times. Jeez.
Oh, of course. No, I'm not surprised it's that high.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually kind of interesting. Do you have a guess on what I'm looking at hockeyfights.com and they have like ratings for his fights. Do you have a guess on what his top fight is?
Oh, I was literally just on the website and I didn't remember. I don't remember what it was. Was it the
It's
one? I mean, the one that the famous one is like the one against
Cavalier.
oh, who was it? Le Cavalier. Yeah, that would
That's
be my
the one
guess.
everybody goes. It's the funny thing is that's not even on here. I don't think.
Really?
No. Which is really weird. Cuz the top one is him versus Jamie Benn, which is another really famous one. Like in 2010.
Yeah.
Because that one is very famous. And then there's another one. Number 2 is one that I don't even know if I've watched, which is him taking on it just has B Bill Goran, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
damn.
that's how you pronounce his name. That's
That would have
number
been
2.
that would have been an older one.
Then yeah, in 2002, Ryan Kessler in 2006, which I think I remember actually, but it's not one that sticks out to me. Ed Jovanikovsky, nearly butchered the crap out of his name there. Then
Big-
Willie Mitchell.
Big names.
Then Willie Mitchell. I'm just going down this list to show the fact because a lot of these I haven't even heard of, which is really weird to me. Because the Le Cavalier one feels like a no-brainer. Next one actually, they actually do have the England one on here. They have that sitting at 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there you
4,
go.
5. That's at 7th. I still wish I could see his record because that kind of makes me sad.
This is a Simon homework project for
Well, that's what
your
I mean.
over winter
I
break.
think
You don't have to commentate any more games. You don't got any more
That's true.
school.
That's true.
I can
Maybe this is my-
picture you sitting there going through hockeyfights.com and watching every single Jerome McGinley fight
and
to
like
see
ranking
who
them.
won.
I think that there should totally be like a record for like fights in hockey. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, the difficult thing is sometimes there's no clear winner.
Well, then make ties. Who cares?
Okay, but like some of them, like it's not quite clear. Like you can like I don't know. You can say like one like they
All I'm
separate them, but
saying-
one guy was like beating the guy up. It's like you don't know.
All I'm saying is I think that it's really dumb that they haven't at least tried to do something like that. Because I think that's such a missed opportunity. Because like think about how much more hyped up you can make fights. Like it's all of a sudden you see like Wilson drop the gloves with Reeves and like a little stat pops up showing how many times Reeves has knocked the piss out of people. Because that's one of the cooler things about like watching fighting when you'll see two guys where it'll be like their combined records are like 60-0-0 and you're like holy fuck, this is going to be an insane tilt. Like you don't get that from hockey sometimes. Like sure when you watch Reeves and like Tom Wilson go down, you're like okay, these are two guys who don't lose fights. This is going to be pretty sick. It's still like it's not as cool.
Yeah. All I gotta say to that, Simon, is you gotta be the change you wish to create. Come on, I need a catalog. I think I started too small with just Iginla. You're talking about a league-wide change here.
I think it should be a league-wide change.
Fights.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you gotta compile that data for the NHL.
Wasn't there a site that we found during that fight segment that like actually like ranked who won fights?
It did say.
Do you remember what that site was?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I thought it was that hockeyfights.com, but I guess it wasn't. Yeah, they just had like a fan vote in terms of voting.
Yeah,
who
but
won
even
the
that I'd be.
fight. Yeah, I'm not sure what the website was. You maybe have to go back and watch that segment.
Yeah, go back and watch that segment. You should.
Yeah, we need some.
Leave the segment for like.
No, we'll send full.
Yeah, oh, it is hockey
for
fights.
play viewers out. So.
It is hockey.
It is okay. We got it.
But for some reason, it's just like it's just not showing it for specific players. That's kind of
That's weird.
That is very weird.
Maybe before it's not like Ginla's a modern
Yeah, I guess
player
not.
anymore.
That's a weird
That's
thing
probably
to say.
the
I'm old.
I know.
Iggy.
We are.
Come back. The Flames have been missing a top line right wing. Come on, Iggy. I know you're 45. Who cares? Strap him on. We still need that power clapper from the right wing.
There's a different Ginla coming up in the draft. That's all.
It's true.
That's all
And if
I'm
the
saying.
Flames don't draft him, I will cry. So, yeah. For the Kelowna Rockets, and apparently he's kicking ass. So that's lovely.
Yep.
Anyway, remember when we were talking about the Detroit Red Wings? Me neither. Next segment.
All right. So it was announced a couple days ago that the NHL would be making some changes to their All-Star format. So they've gone back and forth. They had originally it was just the classic East versus West. Then they kind of went back. They changed up their format, went to like a player-centric draft where players would draft from the pool of all-star selected players, and then they kind of changed it up and went to this tournament style 3-on-3 division versus division, and now they're reversing course. I guess they've decided that format hasn't been working, and they're switching back to what it was before, the player draft. And I have my own opinions on what I like and don't like about it, but I'll let you take the reins on this one first. What do you think about the change?
When me and you talked about this before the podcast, I was leaning towards the fact that I actually like it. Especially in the NBA, I really like the player draft system because I think having that I think the draft is more entertaining than the actual game a lot of times.
Yeah.
But reading how they plan on having it work, I'll just explain it like this. This is the thing they end the paragraph on for the article that we have pulled up here. The event will be televised and each captain will be paired with a celebrity. Which, whenever you're bringing celebrities into sports, it has the potential to be absolutely hilarious. Because there are times when you look back on it, and I'm sure you can pick out moments in your head where it is absolutely hilarious. I can also pick out 100 other times that absolutely sucked. And
think about the skills competition in the All-Star game already. Those celebrity judges that are given like 10 points to Alex Pietrangelo because he exists in Las Vegas. Like,
yeah, like you know what I mean though. Like just think back throughout time. Like the amount of times that has backfired. Like sure there's like the occasional time where they bring in Snoop Dogg and Snoop Dogg's just a legend. Like if you're gonna do that, you got to do it right. That's kind of what I mean. Where you need to bring in somebody who's just going to be absolutely hilarious. Have Marshawn Lynch be a captain of a team. Like, that's what I mean. Do something like that. Make this entertaining. I want to hear Marshawn Lynch picking people because they have funny names. I don't want actual celebrities showing up. Like, that's what I want. Like,
that's actually a great idea. And if they have, this is my point. If they have the celebrities doing the picks and the players that they're working with do not have any say, and they just have to sit there and watch as like John Krasinski tries to figure out who the fuck Trevor Zegras is. Like that is
John Krasinski like an actual isn't like because there was the whole thing when the Bruins and the Blues were in the finals.
I guess he is a hockey fan. That's a bad example.
You have to go like you have to do something like if you're gonna do that, I think you have to go like fucking Kim Kardashian and like some other person and just like throw them to the wolves. I think the way that you got to do it is you got to have Kim K and the other celebrity locked in like a glass box with the captains on like the other side. You know what I mean? So that you can see both reactions, but they can't interact with each other. So you can watch fucking Connor McDavid have a mental breakdown when Kim Kardashian selects like I don't even know fucking like an like. I don't even have an example, but you know what I mean. Like, that would make for funny television. So either you have to go all in on the dumb celebrity picks the entire teams, or you have to go the other way and have it like if you're gonna and they're not gonna do that, obviously. They're just gonna have the celebrities there to be celebrities. But
which is the lamest possible way to do
and if you're gonna do that, you gotta bring in like Marshawn Lynch, Snoop Dogg, like the people who aren't gonna care. like who are just
Yeah.
gonna be there and be funny, and it's gonna be great. Bring in like I don't know, Will Ferrell actually knows hockey. There you go. Bring in Will Ferrell.
Yeah, he's a Kings fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd do something. Yeah,
I think the
don't
way
know.
more
As
entertaining way to do this would be like to bring in like retired hockey players, like have Gretzky and like fucking Mario Lemieux draft teams, and like have it be Gretzky
That would
versus
be
Lemieux,
cool.
or like if you want to go
That
like
would be cool.
more like rivalries, you could do like Weiserman versus Sakic, like you could do like that type of
Yeah.
thing. Like that'd be cool. So it's like you're bringing in like those older fans who watched back then, because you'd have like the All-Star game be Weiserman versus Sakic, right? Like I think that's a really cool idea. But obviously I don't think they'd do that. I think if they're gonna stick to this like celebrity thing, then I guess I'll just go screw off. Whatever.
They're going with the blandest possible format of this idea. Like that's an amazing idea.
That's an
but they're never
NHL
gonna
move
do it.
right there. Go for the
It's an
bland
NHL move because you know that it's going to be Connor McDavid picking teams, and his like boring ass is just going to sit up there with his neck beard and like not do anything and just like drag ourselves through this like terrible presentation. Because it's like a lot of hockey players, like especially the stars, the charisma is not quite all there. So having them kind of lead this big TV broadcast, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking like this is not. There's a reason it works better in basketball. It's because the personalities there are a little bit more defined than Connor McDavid. Like,
well, and that's what I mean.
He's a piece of
like,
toast. He's a piece of toast as a human being. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean by you need like Marshawn Lynch in there to like facilitate
to spice it up.
To spice it up, yeah. Which I actually like. I think that it would be there is kind of like the humor to it, because while they don't show it, all of these hockey players have like the biggest egos ever. So seeing like I don't even know who would get picked last. What's a good last pick? Seeing like Johnny Gaudreau slumped over in his way too big of a chair with his arms folded with like a frowny face on, just like that would make for some entertaining television. But like,
no, that's true. I mean, we did like that is the one, like I was reading the article about it. That was the one good thing about the other playoff draft. Like it was Phil Kessel who kept getting passed on by everybody. Like that's pretty funny.
Or like Ovi.
There's Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Ovi
Ovi
like,
saying he wants a car.
I need a car. Yeah, that's good TV. Like if they can have those kind of moments.
So basically, let's have an Alex
I don't know.
Ovechkin for that, or have both captains be terrible at speaking English. Like, you know how, like, Ovi, whenever he does a thing, he just, like, talks loudly and it's hilarious? It's the same thing as that.
Yeah,
Let's have Ovechkin versus,
like, Pugliarvi out there.
Pugliarvi
out there.
Alex Ovechkin versus Pugliarvi. Those are your captains.
Have you seen, like, the Pugliarvi clip where he's like, I shoot, we score, they come, we win. Thank you. And then he leaves. Like,
I haven't, but I don't want to now because it will never be as funny as the image I have in my head. I'm just imagining this dude looking stone cold into the fucking camera.
I don't think it's gonna disappoint. It's great. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen this clip, like look it up. I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
I just wanted to say Ovechkin is one of my favorite human beings to ever exist, just because he's so naturally hilarious. Like he's kind of a lunatic, just a little. Like he's a little bit of a lunatic. So especially that year they won the cup, that might have been one of my favorite years ever. Favorite celebrations. God, get Ovechkin another cup. That dude deserves it.
He really does. I'm so glad he won one at least.
Yeah,
like, that was in terms of the most deserved cup wins of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was awesome. That's what we need more of. That's the one thing that the draft does allow for, that you just have to do it right. Because when it works, right? Like, it's just when it doesn't, and it's just all of these fucking white bread, like, drafting each other, like Connor McDavid going, I didn't go first overall. Darn nabbits. Guess I'll just score 5 goals and make you regret it.
Who cares? Who cares, Connor? There's no. I mean, hockey can be such a bland sport sometimes in terms of the personality. So it's like this kind of thing. You gotta have the right people. You gotta have the right people. But I mean, to get to like the format stuff of it, it is so frustrating because I feel like they had something that worked. I really liked the like Division B,
Yeah.
Division 3B3 thing.
No,
I think
I think
the perfect.
I think a fun way you could do it. I don't think they should do 2 teams. I think it'd be cool to have them like draft like how many teams were there? There'd be 4, right? Do like a tournament again. Make them just like do another tournament.
I
Have it
think
be
they
like
are.
4
I think they
drafts.
are doing that.
Are they doing 4
I
teams?
think they are doing that if I'm not mistaken. I think they might be doing 4 teams. I'd have to double check
Then-
that. I don't have that off the
Oh,
top.
it is it is still
I'll
3 on
check
3.
that.
In terms of the player draft, the 4 all there you go. So there will be 4 teams. So I actually, if they're doing that,
There
then
we
I
go.
like this more than what they've had in recent years. Because I agree with you, the tournament system is fun, but I think having them team up with their own divisions, that's not that interesting. The idea of like having this draft, so all of these, so it'd be like, let's here predict it: Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, at this point probably Quinn, like as in Quinn Hughes. Sorry, I forgot. I don't
Hughes?
know. I'm tired. Yeah, Quinn Hughes, and then like I don't even know. Who else is kicking ass this year?
Panarin. I don't know.
Sure, Panarin.
Throw
why
in
not?
Panarin.
Throw
He's
in Panarin.
good.
Yeah, throw in the Russian guy who can't speak English. That's a terrific idea. I love that idea, for reasons already stated. But that's 4 guys, right? It's just gonna be McDavid going. I picked Draisaitl because he's a great teammate. He's really good at putting the puck down the ice, and we're gonna put the puck down the ice good. And then you'd have Quinn Hughes drafting a guy, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna draft Brock Besser because he's my teammate, and we put the puck down the ice good." And then
Pucks
it'll
in
get to
deep. Pucks in
Panarin.
deep. Pucks in
Pucks
deep.
in deep, pucks in deep. And then you'll get to, I don't know, what other names did I say in there? Cale Makar, and he'll take Nathan McKinnon because he's his teammate and he puts the puck down the ice good. It's gonna be terrific, and
I'm already bored. I'm already
yeah.
bored.
End the segment.
Yeah.
Everybody
I don't know
clicked
what this-
off.
Yeah. Don't do like I don't know. We'll see how it is. Maybe they'll do it right, but I am fine.
Have me captain one of the teams. I'll be the celebrity. I'm a celebrity, right? I talk on YouTube. I'll be the celebrity. There you go.
Yeah, you're on.
I'll
you're
go
on,
out
you're on the
up
big
there. I'll
screen
call
sometimes.
out Connor McDavid on his heated driveway on live television. Tell him that he should pull the stick out of his ass, or I'll hit him over the head with it. And hopefully that makes for entertaining television. That's what we need. We need somebody to liven up these damn hockey players, and I will be the idiot monkey who can do it. Throw me at Connor McDavid, and I will embarrass the crap out of him on live television. It'll be lovely. Because I'll just insult. That would be the entire thing. I just insult McDavid, try and get like an ounce of personality out of him. Because like imagine if someone can get McDavid to tell them to go fuck themselves on live television. Would that not be like the most groundbreaking thing ever?
I'd take McDavid like making a joke at this point.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
I'd take anything.
Like
Yeah.
or like coming
If you
back
get
with
him
like
to
a comment
display
like
any
imagine like
emotion.
someone insults McDavid and he just goes like, takes one to know one. Like, oh crap! Like the most
Not
basic
happening in a million years.
comeback. Or just like, is that what your mom said? Instantly. It's all it takes. McDavid, we are asking
Not
for
a
grade 2
million years.
insults.
Not in a million years. There's no way.
All I want from McDavid is him to make a really crappy joke. Or like, I wish McDavid like put in the effort, you know what I mean? Where like maybe he's just criminally unfunny. Like maybe that's why he doesn't say anything. So like I just want him to go out there and make like the worst knock joke ever. And just like
It's just I don't hear anything from him. It's just his delivery. He's just so bland and monotone and blah. Like even if you were to tell a knock joke, it'll come out like he's like reading his rights or something. Like
that's what I mean.
like, God,
that's all I want.
Connor, you're not getting arrested, buddy.
That's what I mean. Have like, who else is like a boring player? Like a really boring player. Have Connor McDavid and like
Honestly, any of the any of the Canadian hockey boys. As much as I love my country, I like they're all so boring. Generally.
Everybody's like
You know,
going like nuts over like Bedard because he'll occasionally say some stuff in interviews, but he's even like he's still very PR trained.
He's better than McDavid.
He had a PR guy out the womb. Like,
yeah, he did. You know who would be actually fun if we're talking about Oilers who are really good that could captain these All-Star teams? Get McDavid out of there. Dreisaitl's fun.
Dreisaitel would be good.
Dreisaitl's good. Dreisaitl's like telling the media to go fuck off. Right? He's like, I don't read what you write. Like, you're stupid. Go home. Like, yeah, we need that kind of energy.
Well, that's what I mean. We need like Draisaitl and then somebody who would be like good. Like, I think a Draisaitl Ovechkin's a little. I don't think you could pull off an Ovechkin one, but like, you know what I mean. Like a Draisaitl Ovechkin, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Would that not be the best thing ever?
It would be. They're not gonna do it.
We're not gonna do it. We're gonna get Kim K drafting a team for 2 hours where she's just gonna be like, you know, herself, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna be lovely. Can't wait for Kim K to stand on a stage next to Connor McDavid explaining why they're gonna take Draisaitl because he puts the puck down the ice good. It's gonna be lovely. Can't wait. I personally am so excited. I will not be tuning in for the draft. I will tune in for the games, probably.
Yeah, I don't even know at this point.
I mean, it's still the same tournament.
I'll tune in out of morbid curiosity.
Fair enough, I guess. Yeah. Everyone likes to watch a car crash.
Oh yeah. Thank you everybody for listening to the Trick Play podcast this week. Remember to like, subscribe, find all our things. If you guys, please, just for my sanity this week, subscribe to our podcast. Tell a friend about it because I'm so depressed and life has no meaning anymore. So, like, if you were to just make the little numbers go up, that makes the dopamine in my head get a little bit more. I need that.
Yep.
My shout out for this week. I felt like I threw him under the bus a little bit earlier this podcast, and I feel a little bit bad. I said, I think, quote unquote, that he was doing drugs in the back with Kirk Herbstreit or whatever the fuck. Al Michaels, I'm sorry, buddy. You probably are because you've completely checked out of all the Thursday night games. You sound like you're calling it while you're half asleep with the amount of enthusiasm you're putting into it. But you know what? I don't blame you. They're advertising. I'm watching this Seahawks Cowboys game and they're like, up next week, the thrilling Thursday night matchup, Patriots Steelers. I'm like, oh boy, Al Michaels is gonna kill himself on screen. But so poor guy, poor Al. He's kind of lost his touch, but I don't blame him. But he's still got the classic Al Michaels zingers. It's not the classic Sunday Night Football booth with Chris Collinsworth anymore, but he's still got his zingers. And my shout out for this week goes to Al Michaels, because on tonight's broadcast, they're talking about Deron Bland, and Deron Bland is in the news because he set an NFL record, most pick sixes in a season ever. And he just, like, yesterday won the NFC Defensive Player of the Month for November. And just for context, we're recording this November 30th. The Seahawks-Cowboys game happened November 30th. And in the Seahawks-Cowboys game, Deron Bland is getting lit up. At the end of the first half, he had allowed something like 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man is getting burnt to a crisp. And Al Michaels decides to dig his grave a little bit more. As they cut to commercials, Al Michaels said, well, Deron Bland was named NFC Offensive Player of the Month for November. Guess they didn't count November 30th. Killed him. Al Michaels with the knockout punch, just roasting people on primetime television. absolutely spectacular. To Al Michaels for not giving a shit anymore and clearly just riding out the last few years of his contract to get that Amazon money and just saying whatever the fuck he wants on TV. Props to you, buddy. Al Michaels forever. You've deserved a soft, cushy retirement Amazon job. You're not as good as you used to be, but oh, you still got some stuff in you, and I'm proud of you, buddy. Take those drugs in the back with Kirk. You've earned it. In the meantime, you can compile all the hockey fights. You've been given.
There you go.
Given a job.
Yeah, I have a new job.
You can keep yourself busy.
Do you think they pay?
Intro.
Probably
I
not.
think they pay. This is a
To do that?
This is a revolutionary idea that you're introducing to
I
the
don't think
league.
it's revolutionary. I feel like anybody who has watched anything fighting related would just. I think that's just an interesting idea. Like, it'd be cool to be.
It's revolutionary for the NHL.
Sure. I just think that I think it's a cool idea. I'm surprised that nobody's thought of that. It's sure it'd be hard, but there's already sites that like have that tracking, right? Where they track like who like fans thought they would win it. That's as simple as just a little bit of coding to make like a counter. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's not a complicated thing. So I'm surprised nobody's tried is more what I mean. With how orientated sports is at this point, it's crazy to me that we don't have more fight stats.
Yeah, when the NHL eventually introduces it, everybody come back to this podcast and you'll know where it came from, and you know that Simon was very bored on his Christmas break.
Damn right. I actually, if this ever happens, I'm suing. I'm suing for because
we have proof.
Can I?
This is
proof.
This is what Thursday, November 30th, 2023. This is when the idea was formed.
The like
any
hour
lawyers refer to
30
this
mark,
point.
like of the Trick Play podcast episode, like 22
like,
or 23.
Whatever we are, like 20
I think
something.
it's 22, 23. No, it's 23. I think.
23. Damn.
I think.
We're compiling them.
Yeah, they're getting up there. A lot of them for you to go watch. Go watch them, asshole.
Yeah.
All of them. Go do it right now. Maybe I'll...
All 23.
All 23 right now at this exact moment.
Back to back. If anybody can provide proof of them watching all 23 or whatever it is, Trick Play episodes back to back
I
to
will
back
give you
without
every
stopping.
number on my credit card.
Yeah, same. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge. That's a challenge to the viewers out there. I'm more scared than I should be because I know A, nobody's gonna make it this far, and then I know B, that like nobody's that insane to do it.
Yeah. Who knows? Lower my credit card limit as we speak.
Account. Yeah. So to end the podcast, if you want money, listen to this Trick Play podcast. We're paying you to do this. Just as long as you don't stop.
Never stop watching the podcast. If you want my credit card, you have to keep it up. You have to keep it up. That's the rule.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. Okay, well that's it for the podcast. Thanks for
Tune
watching.
in next week to see. Tune in next week to see Simon reveal his credit card information to the entire internet. That's how you get the viewers coming back.
Is that current? Like, can you say that? I thought that. Or no.
I mean,
I'm thinking of something else. I was gonna say.
It's not gonna go well for you, but you can.
Like, can you say that online? Like, because I thought like that one guy, like the Fortnite credit card scam guy. You know, like John Wick needs your help. Like that guy, I thought he got in a lot of shit because you can't say that. But that's not technically what we're doing because it's not a scam. And you will actually get my credit card information.
He's scamming people out of their credit cards.
Yeah,
which
we're
is
giving
obviously
you.
problematic. We're giving you the credit card. There's nothing wrong with that. We can choose to do with our credit card whatever we please. It's our money. Well, no, I mean it's your money.
It's the bank's money.
It's your money. I'm not jumping in on this.
You think Simon's got money? No. My money is the local Tim Hortons money.